All right, everyone, we're going to get started. Thank you for being here today and joining us for the path to accreditation and certification as a translator and interpreter in Canada. We are joined today by Jean Tahberer, or Bekircan Tahberer, who is a certified trainer with the Society of Translators and Interpreters of British Columbia. Before we quickly get started, I'd like to make an acknowledgement that I am on the unceded and traditional territory of the Salish Nation, and also make a funder acknowledgement to the Ministry of Municipal Affairs for the Refugee Response Team, which is the host and funder of the workshops that you are enjoying here today.
He said it's a funny world.
So we will get started and I will pass off to Bekircan. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, as usual, for the nice introduction. And thank you, everyone, for joining us today. I trust you will find the information useful. It's going to be a little bit overwhelming. There is a lot to digest in this presentation, but as I always do, I will provide this presentation to the organization, and they will share it with you, so you will have it in your possession and refer to it whenever you like. Also, I have some links to certain websites that I will encourage you to go and review the information there. And finally, you can always contact me for your questions. The path to accreditation and certification as a translator and interpreter in Canada is rather straightforward. Even though I said the information is overwhelming, it's quite straightforward. How you first join a provincial society of translators and interpreters, and through them, you take the certification exam. It's that simple. But let's start with the presentation and see why we should do this. So the question is, why should you consider certification in translation and court, community, and medical interpretation? The answer is rather simple. Certification creates a new class of qualified and certified language professionals. More than that, there is one item: recognition. Many of us have come here as an immigrant. We brought our credentials, we brought our education, experience, talent, everything, but we are not known to anyone here. And it's only normal that they don't recognize our credentials, our skills, without testing them. And that's why it is important that we seek certification through the channels that I will be talking about to get recognized. Even though it sounds a little bit painful, especially if you have a lot of experience, very good credentials, and you wish and believe that you deserve to be recognized right away. This is the way it is. There's no way we can change that. So we have to go through the process. Canada is a country of certifications and associations. And this is true in many other countries. You complete your education at the law school, and you need to be a member of a bar association, for instance. And you need to take some exams or courses to get registered with a bar. The same is true for certified accountants. You finish your 4 or 6 year education at the business school, and you still have to take exams and get recognized by the Certified Accountants Association so that you can operate as a professional. This is true in so many other professions. As you can see, here is a list. This is a rather outdated list dating back several years ago. I'm sure there are more of them right now. What I'm trying to say is that we are not the exception here. There are other institutions, other societies that admit members by exam or other processes so that they become recognized through those associations. And in British Columbia, we have the Society of Translators and Interpreters, STIBC in short, for a recognition as a translator and or interpreter. There is an umbrella institution called CTIC. CTIC represents 7 member societies. Here is the list of those members. So STIBC in British Columbia, ATIA in Alberta, ATIS in Saskatchewan, ATEM in Manitoba, ATIO in Ontario, New Brunswick has CTINB, and Nova Scotia has ATINS. So CTIC is an umbrella institution for those provincial organizations. It does not admit individual translators and interpreters. The biggest mandate of CTIC is providing the certification exam in translation, interpretation, and promoting the professional work of its member societies' members. So CTIC is an umbrella institution that represents the 7 provincial organizations. We are going to talk about its mandate and the certification exam further in the presentation. But just so you know, CTIC is not a society that you are expected to join. It's your society that will join CTIC, that has already joined CTIC, and you will be an affiliated member of CTIC when you join a provincial society. It was founded in 1970. They had an earlier organization by a different name, but it's the continuation of that organization. Now, what I'm trying to emphasize here is it's very important that the civil authorities of Canada took the initiative to found something like this, because in many countries you don't have such an organization that provides a mandate that will not exactly regulate, but sets principles and manages those principles to be adapted and used towards the good of the society. That's why what CTIC has been doing is very, very crucial. We'll talk about that further. In Quebec, there is another organization, just like STIBC, ATIA, ATIS, and all the others, called OTIAC. They used to be a member of CTIC as well, but for some reason they decided to separate. They also offer their own certification system. Those who live in Quebec can join OTIAC directly without seeking certification through CTIC, and they can get certified. But all the other provincial societies, or most of them, have a reciprocal agreement with OTIAC. So once you become a member of STIBC, you can apply to become a member of OTIAC as well. The same is true for OTIAC members to join all the other provincial associations. Now, let's go back to CTIC. CTIC speaks nationally for about 2,400 language professionals. some 1,350 of whom are certified. So we understand that all these institutions, the total number of certified members are around 1,300. And with the other members, associate members, student members, retired members, in total, we have around 2,400 accredited translators across the country. And if we add OTIAC, I believe their membership is around 1,000. So we're talking 3,400 accredited translators and interpreters across Canada. This is not a small number. This is a significant number of language professionals operating in Canada, and it is consistent with the country's multicultural nature. And a country that has admitted about 400,000 or 450,000 new immigrants, and projecting to get another 450,000 or 500,000 people next year. I think we need more accredited certified translators and interpreters, and that means there is room for more translators and interpreters, and that means there is future for our profession in this country. I think you are now convinced that you should get certified, right? All the same, let's continue with the rest of the presentation. Now, the Society of Translators and Interpreters of British Columbia is what we aim to seek membership first. Why? Because we live in BC. It's not relevant when we if we join ATIA, for instance, or ATIO in Ontario, because we will not benefit from their services when we live in British Columbia. We live in British Columbia, we will benefit from the services of the association that is located in British Columbia. That's why we need to consider joining the Society of Translators and Interpreters of BC. By the way, I'm talking about CTIC and STIBC. I'm not really promoting any of these institutions. They are actually not-for-profit institutions. And for us to gain recognition, it is the only way, the only path to go. We don't have any other option. If you are already recognized and people trust your translating, interpreting skills, and you can make a living, you don't need to become a member of this institution. However, you're new to this country, you want your skills recognized, then you have to go through this. But at the same time, it's not a money-making enterprise. It's a non-profit society. There is a board of directors. They are completely volunteers. Nobody gets paid other than the office employees. So, so nobody is trying to rip off anyone with false promises. Whatever is promised, it is there. And my presentation of these institutions is purely from a professional point of view. That's why you should consider this institution as a member-friendly institution, and also it's not a government-funded institution. None of the provincial organizations is a government-funded institution. They all depend their membership, the membership fees, and support from their members. And that's why they are they truly represent the Canadian spirit of volunteerism. So you have to look at them from this perspective when you approach these societies. So this is the website. It's very easy, stibc.org. I would recommend that you go to that website and spend some time. This is a new website that they launched 2 years ago. Under the membership tab, you will find a lot of information about how to join the society and become a member, and all through the processes. I'm going to talk about some of those today, but I will encourage you to go to the website and check out the information available to you. So some links to certain pages for you to get more information quickly. It says if you're already a language professional, the first step to joining the STIBC is becoming an associate member. So here is what you're going to go, where you're going to go. And then the admission policy is in PDF. If you click on this link, you will get that information popped up on your screen in PDF. And then the application, they talk about eligibility, but we are going to talk about all of these in the coming slides. But I just wanted to give you these links for quick access to those web pages. And finally, they will talk about certification in court, community, and medical interpreting through STIBC. First of all, the benefits. Why do we talk about this? Because you need to pay some money to become a member, and you need to continue paying money to maintain your membership. And you need to get some benefits. If you're paying money, getting nothing is unfair. And the society has to provide certain benefits so that you continue to pay for your membership and continue your professional recognition. First of all, recognition, we said. A highly professional environment that fosters strong work ethics and high quality work. People already know that STIBC is a trustworthy society, and that they can trust the services the STIBC members provide. This is extremely important. Nobody knows you, nobody recognizes your skills, yet your membership, your certification, your accreditation by STIBC is recognized. So through STIBC's well-established, well-respected reputation, you become a reputable, recognized, accepted language professional, whether you operate in translating or interpreting. They have two systems for certification, which we are going to talk about. Continuous support through professional development workshops and seminars, as well as mentoring and networking opportunities. Even though you become a member and you get certified, accredited, that doesn't necessarily mean that jobs are going to pour onto you. Yes, they will come through certain channels, but you need to create a network. You need to join a network and become a member of a community where you can learn more about the profession, more about the industry in the city that you live or in the country that you live, and learn from one another. That's why the society's activities are extremely important. One thing that you will not know very well at the beginning, but you will appreciate as you get certified, is the occupational title protection. No one else, no matter how well trained or how excellent translators and interpreters they may be, may use the title certified unless they go through the certification process with STIBC. So once you become a certified translator, it's going to be a huge advantage. You know that your competitors, if they are not certified, will not be able to use the title certified. So getting certified is a privilege thanks to the occupational title protection. Institutional promotion for certified translation and court, community, conference, and medical interpretation. That's behind the scene. The society works with all the stakeholders, government agencies, private institutions to promote certified translation and interpretation. And many of those institutions, like Passport Canada, the IRCC, the Law Society, they all know about the society and they refer to society's website when they need information about translation, interpretation, and or when they need the services of the members of the society. So this is very valuable. They also, STIBC also has an efficient referral system, as well as an online listing. When I worked for the society, almost 60–70% of my work was actually giving referrals. I used to get a lot of telephone calls from the public, people who need their documents translated, people who needed the assistance of an interpreter for this or for that reason. So we were giving referrals. So members benefit from those referrals a lot. And finally, through the society, you can get extended health and dental benefits. It's a paid service, you need to pay. However, you can get extended health and dental benefits only as a freelancer. Either you're working for an entity and that entity provides the extended health and dental benefits, or you become a freelancer and your membership to STIBC will allow you to get extended health and dental benefits paid by you, not by the society, but you will be eligible for it. And for those who do sensitive work, there is also omission and errors insurance. Those who work for the government or those who work in sensitive areas like translating multi-billion-dollar contracts would want to have some kind of an omission and errors insurance in case they come across a hard situation. So all of these are available through your membership to STIBC. The admission policy is, again, both very straightforward and complicated as you go deeper. The simple way of explaining it is that STIBC offers a two-level accreditation system in which you are required to become an associate member first and then go through the certification process. Many people don't pay attention to this little detail and they want to take the certification exam immediately. No, it doesn't work that way. You first need to join the society, become an associate member or a student member if you're a student in a language program, and then, excuse me, go through the certification process. It's not so difficult, and also it is actually in your benefit to do this, because the certification exam can be very challenging if you don't know what you are expected to do. And in most cases, you will not know what you're expected to do. Your experiences, your education, your training, in a different country might be wonderful, yet with a little adjustment, you can switch to the way you're expected to do well in this exam. However, without knowing that, it's like a lottery. You will not be able to pass that exam quickly. So joining the society as an associate member, you become familiar with the institution, with the certification system, prepare for the certification system so that when you attempt, you are successful and you gain your accreditation quickly and smoothly. During the associate membership, there is no designation at the society. You are just an associate member. We do not differentiate between translator and interpreter. Sometimes people approach us and say, oh, I'm just an interpreter. Why do I have to write a translation exam? Well, even as an interpreter, we want to make sure that you have the skills to understand both languages properly. And it's not true that interpreters only provide verbal translation. There are the times that the interpreters have to provide written translations as well. In short, you have to show the society that you have what it takes to become an interpreter. And translation is an integral part of the process of getting certified as an interpreter. So it starts from the associate level. You may not just join the society as an interpreter or as a translator. When you are admitted to society, you are tested in writing, no matter what. Certified membership certification in translating and or interpreting in Canada is achieved by passing the national exam organized by CTIC or by following the on-dossier certification process. As soon as we talk about on-dossier, everybody's focus switches from the exam to on-dossier. Oh, I have done this, I've done that, and I should be given certification on dossier. Here is my dossier. I would say consider it, review the process, learn about it, but mostly focus on the exam, not on dossier. I will explain the on dossier process a little further later. Okay, so admission policy. Wow, going back to the basics. It was different during my time, but they changed it. Now they only allow Canadian citizens or permanent resident holders and living in Canada to apply for membership. So it's a little bit restricted, and to tell you the truth, I'm somewhat disappointed that they switched to this restricted policy. However, that is the case. So you need to be either a Canadian citizen or a PR holder to be eligible for application. Secondly, you must have proficiency in 2 languages, as expected as a translator or interpreter, and you must have a minimum 1 year's experience as a translator or interpreter. And this can be full-time or part-time, but there are some numbers that you have to meet. So interpreters must have completed a minimum of 200 hours in interpreting. Translators must have completed the minimum word count in different languages. So Canada's official languages, French or English, you are expected to have translated over 110,000 words. Spanish, Chinese, Punjabi, 80,000 words. All other languages, 30,000 words. Candidates are required to submit a resume, a recent resume within the last 2 years. And you might need to draft a resume dedicated to this purpose. As manager, I reviewed a lot of resumes. Many of them simply pulled up their resume for a different purpose, and they didn't bother to change, or they didn't bother to include their information with respect to translating and interpreting. It's a waste of your time, and it's a waste of the society's time. More importantly, your application may be rejected. So in Canada, it is normal that you have multiple versions of your resume depending on what job, what position you are applying. So you need to take the time and prepare a resume, unless you already have one, dedicated to translating, interpreting activities. And it has to be recent. You should not be talking about your translating experiences 10 years ago. Yes, you mentioned that as well, but you have to have experience within the last 2 years. This is really important because we have to recognize and appreciate the fact that language skills are sharpened as we use them. And unfortunately, they can eradicate as we don't use them. If you haven't translated for an extended period of time, your translating skills will not be as sharp as before. So we have to recognize that when the society demands that you provide that kind of experience, they're not trying to put a hurdle in front of you, but they're trying to protect you, because it's unpleasant to take an exam and fail. And nobody wants to see that you fail in an exam, because the society doesn't have anything to gain when you fail in an exam. You pass the exam, you pay membership fees, the society will also gain from that. But if you fail and if you disappear, the society is not going to benefit from your membership. That's why nobody is trying to make your life difficult by putting these prerequisites, but you know, these are all to protect you. So your resume is important. Copies of any degree, diploma, or certificates. The preference is actually, of course, if you have an educational background in translating and or interpreting. However, that doesn't necessarily mean that people without education in translating or interpreting cannot apply for membership. It is possible, but then the most important prerequisite is experience. So you're going to get a reference letter from a client or employer that clearly states your interpreting hours or word count accumulated in the last 2 years. Again, not your experience 10 years ago. I translated 2 books in 2020. Perfect. Very good. What did you do in the last 2 years? You have to show the society that you did something in the last 2 years. STIBC will advise candidates if they have sufficient education and experience to be conditionally accepted into the society through the on-dossier process. This is, again, a wonderful term, on-dossier process. And or if you must go through the admission by exam process. Now, if you have relevant education in translating and or interpreting, and if you have at least 1 year's experience, and if you meet the word count or interpreting hours requirement supported by a reference letter, it is quite likely that you will be admitted to the society on dossier. What does that mean? You don't need to take an admission translation exam, you will only take the STIBC Code of Ethics exam, which is a very, very easy exam, a reading comprehension exam. I will talk about it too later. And you pay the members' fees and dues, and you become an associate member very quickly. But if you don't have relevant education in translating and or interpreting, but you still meet the experience expectations, then you may be admitted to the society by exam. So on dossier, relevant education and experience; by exam, no relevant education but experience. Everybody takes the ethics exam, by the way. Application fees. I don't want to talk about them here. They are here. You can review this presentation whenever you like. Again, when you first apply, you pay $130 plus GST. You do not pay for the exams, but the second part of the application fee is collected when you take the entrance exam or the ethics exam for those who are admitted on dossier. You are given the chance to appeal or retake the entrance exam if you are admitted by exam, and the fee is $175 plus GST. And they now also allow you to change your language combination, and you need to write a translation exam to do that. And that is also $175 plus GST. I would say don't deal with changing language combination at associate membership level. You're restricted to only one language combination during that time, and switching your language combination is not going to make a big difference. You should seek certification, get certified in the combination that you want to be certified, and don't waste time and money during your associate membership to switch language combination. And of course, membership to STIBC is subject to annual renewal by paying the annual membership fee. You can find the fee schedules here on this link. And membership fees, certified members pay $310 annually. Associate members pay $230 annually, and student members pay $120. Again, student membership is restricted to those who are enrolled in a translating interpreting program, whether it is a short-term program or a long-term program. They can become a student member for $120 a year. And finally, new membership applications are on hold until 1 February 2023. It says on the Society's website, I discovered last night. So don't submit your application until next Monday, maybe. And then you will be able to apply. I think the Society is moving its office. Not too far. They're moving from the 4th floor to the 2nd floor at the same address. So this transition period is a little bit hectic for them. So they will start admitting or processing applications as of February 1st. STIBC also encourages candidates who come from different educational backgrounds to submit their application for membership, provided that they have extensive and verifiable experience in translating or interpreting. We just mentioned that. So STIBC admission exams, language proficiency exam, depending on your experience and education, you may be asked to write a language proficiency exam before writing a translation exam. Language proficiency exam is an English exam, a reading comprehension exam with 4 short passages with 18 questions, multiple choice. And the translation exam in the language combination of your choice, i.e. Spanish to English or English to Spanish, translating a text of about 200 words it is recommended that you pick your strongest combination so that you do well in this exam to secure your associate membership. So market concerns should not prevail here. You need to be realistic. Many people can translate into their mother tongue much better than translating into the target language. So if your Spanish is stronger or language skills are stronger in your mother tongue, say in Spanish, you should consider taking the exam from English to Spanish. During the certification process, you are most welcome to choose Spanish to English if you think you can achieve a pass mark in that combination. Being realistic is very important. Yes, there is more job in the Spanish to English combination, but if you don't have the skills, it's not wishful thinking that is going to bring us certification. It is the reality or realities of our skills that will bring certification or not. So you should seek certification or admission. This is the first step. Let's focus on admission. You should seek admission in the language combination you are most proficient so that you become a member. You already paid the membership application fees. They are non-refundable. Don't lose that money by going into an adventure in a language combination that you're not so proficient. That's why it is important that you think through and then make a decision accordingly. And finally, ethics exam. This is an exam for everyone, whether you are admitted on dossier or by exam. It's a 30-minute open book exam, like a case study. You will have a hard copy of the Society's Code of Ethics and a short story about a translator who breaches the Code of Ethics. You will write five of the mistakes that a translator makes in this story. Again, most people with average English skills and with the principles of an elementary school graduate should be able to do well. In my experience, people did fail in this exam, and that tells us 100% that this person is not ready to become a language professional. If you can't do well in this exam, you're not ready to become a language professional. Aspiring candidates are encouraged to submit their application anytime because as of February 1st, because Civic offers exams on a regular basis. Admission process may take several weeks depending on the applicant's credentials and exam availability. As an associate member, you can translate and interpret in languages you are proficient. Obviously, we don't have certified translators in every language. We don't have interpreters, certified interpreters in every language. So the society, the communities rely on our associate members in many languages and in many language combinations. So as an associate member, you're allowed to work, but you need to acknowledge and show your credentials correctly. You're an associate member, not a certified member. You need to let your clients know about that fact. You can issue and sign your statement for documents you translated. There are some restrictions, like you do not have a stamp as an associate member. You're not entitled to purchase a stamp. Only certified members are entitled to apply to the society to purchase a stamp through the society. You may not go out of your way and order your own stamp at a stamp shop. You have to get your stamp from the society, and only certified translators are entitled to have a stamp. Not even certified interpreters, because interpreters are not expected to provide certified translations. They may translate documents, but they may not certify their translations because they are only certified to interpret, not certified to translate. As an associate member, whether you translate or interpret, you may not use a SCL or STEM. So you have to use your member card on your statement. Those who attended the first workshop, the official document translations, will remember the statement templates that we have. So if you refer to that presentation, you can have an idea about the translator statement. Associate members are limited to one language combination to be listed. So on the society's directory, you will be limited to only one language combination as an associate member. If you write an admission exam, you must be listed in the same combination as you wrote. And also, if you are admitted on dossier, the language combination is going to be based on your education and mother tongue. So if English is your mother tongue, you will be automatically given Spanish to English language combination. However, if your mother tongue is Spanish, then you will be listed in the English to Spanish language combination. And if you wish to be listed in the Spanish to English, even though your mother tongue is Spanish, that's when you are asked to take the exam, Associate Member Change Language Combination exam. This is the one. You pay 175 plus GST, take the entrance exam in the Spanish to English combination, and you will be, as an associate member, you will be listed in that language combination. And the society offers some professional development and other services. You get regular mailings and job referrals from the society. You can participate in social and professional activities, workshops, receive the society's newsletter. The society offers a practice exam for certification in translation. There is no practice exam in interpretation. It would be impossible. Developing an exam in interpreting is extremely difficult, and there's no way we can provide a practice exam. And then the society offers free orientation before certification exam in translation and interpretation. So these are good benefits when you join the society. You're not left alone. You are supported in every step of your process to get certified. Now, certification. Just like admission to the society, certification is also possible by exam or on dossier. Even though the certification exam is offered by the umbrella institution, CTIC, it is your society that certifies you. CTIC does not certify translators and interpreters. CTIC only provides and manages the exams and marking of the exams, delivering the results, but certification is granted by the provincial associations. To that effect, provincial associations may offer another system to certify their members, and it is called on dossier. The on dossier system, again, everyone wants to jump on it, but it is in some ways more difficult than exam. Why? It is rather an honor system. You have translated many books, and you have done recent work, and you are a recognized translator and or interpreter, and you have to put together a dossier, as the name suggests, and it is evaluated by a committee by certain criteria, and also the fees are a little higher than the exam process. So from the beginning, I would like to encourage you to consider taking the exam, not the on-dossier process. Yet, do your due diligence, do your research, and see if on-dossier certification is a possibility. I have the link for you. Let's talk about CTIC, the Canadian Translators, Terminologists, and Interpreters Council. They maintain and promote professional standards in translation, interpretation, and terminology to ensure high-quality communication across linguistic and cultural communities in Canada through a national standardized examination. No, the biggest achievement of CTIC is getting recognized by the Canadian government. Under the law, CTIC is an entity recognized, and its mandate has been approved. So this is a huge privilege for CTIC affiliated translators and interpreters. Not many countries have such institutions. There is no such institution in my country, and the translation interpretation industry is in chaos. You have so many qualified translators and interpreters competing with unqualified and unaccredited translators and interpreters. There is nobody to protect their rights. However, CTIC's mandate protects us all, even though we are not directly affiliated to CTIC. We are only affiliated through our provincial society. CTIC has only 7 members. As I mentioned, STIBC in British Columbia, ATIA in Alberta, ATIS in Saskatchewan, ATEM in Manitoba, ATIO in Ontario, CTIMB in New Brunswick, and Athens in Nova Scotia. When I speak so highly of CTIC, you must not think that it's a huge organization with many people working. It's a board of 7 volunteer members, nothing else, and a board of examiners, 2 volunteer members, and only one exam coordinator. So in terms of employees or supporting staff, it's very typical. It's a very typical Canadian institution: volunteer people and just 1 exam coordinator. But the mandate is extremely crucial. CTIC translation exam is rather straightforward. If you have the skills and if you're ready, you should be able to do well. But here is something from the markers or candidates guide. Who should consider taking the certification exam in translation? The markers guide say the examination is intended for experienced translators who wish to have their competence recognized by their peers. So you are already a professional translator. You're not an aspiring translator. You're not a beginner translator. You have done a little bit of work here and there. You're not ready for this exam. This is for experienced translators who wish to have their competence recognized by their professional peers. And it says it does not seek to identify aptitude or potential, but rather to attest to a candidate's professional skills. Recommended word count, 300 to 400,000 words. I even say 500,000 words. If you haven't done such work, don't consider taking this exam. You may wish to do that just to test yourself to your abilities, but don't get offended or upset if you fail. I have already warned you. This is an exam for well-established and very well experienced translators and interpreters. There are 3 ways to write this exam. The old way was handwritten exam, write by hand using blank ink pen. Usually if you are sitting in an exam room, the association, your association provides it, but you can bring your own pen. If you use a pencil, you are disqualified automatically. It's not even marked, so don't do that. People used to do that, and unbelievable. We used to warn them before they start the exam, and some people don't like to write with an ink pen, but they would then forget to switch to ink, and they would translate using a pencil. And unfortunately, we had to disqualify a couple exams like that. The second option is computerized exam, no internet access. Spell checker is allowed, but it's a trap. If you take the exam on the computer, don't rely on your spell checker. I've seen, let's say it this way, I still see some exams every now and then. People rely on the spell checker on the computer, and they make a lot of mistakes. Exams will be written on a USB memory drive provided by your association if you take this exam in a location that your physical appearance is required. And the third option, and more people choose this option, the online exam. Here is the link to the information about the online exam. Many people think the online exam as though they would be translating as they do at home, using having access to the internet and using all the means on the internet. No, this is not much different from the computerized exam, the option 2. You are restricted to the same conditions, and in a way, I feel that handwritten exam is the best option. You may attribute it to my age, maybe because we come from a pen and pencil handwriting tradition, and younger generations don't have those skills. However, they rely on the computerized systems so much that they overlook a lot of traps. And unfortunately, writing the exam on the computer is not more advantageous than writing by hand. So you have to consider all of these pros and cons of each system and make a decision accordingly. In the exam, you are given 3 texts in 3 categories. One, general text in the compulsory category. You have to translate that one first. It's a general text, just like a newspaper article. Nothing specific. Everyone should be able to understand when they read, and of course it should be possible to translate it properly. The optional one is slightly technical, slightly medical, and slightly scientific. When we say slightly, we mean it. It is not going to be extremely technical, medical, or scientific. Why do we offer this? Because a lot of people specialize, and they either do technical, medical, scientific work, so we give them a chance to translate the text in a field that they are more proficient, or optional 2, an administrative social sciences category. So if you are mostly doing work in administrative social sciences, you should be able to do well in this one. When I took the certification exam, the general text was about chess, a chess competition. It was so easy. I just translated it quickly. And then I'm not very good in science and medicine. I was not. Over the years, I learned a lot. But in the exam, I wouldn't take those. I'm a more social sciences person. and it was a text about anthropology. Both texts were so easy for me. Even though I had plenty of time, I finished my exams, 2 texts in 45 minutes, and I passed. So when you are ready, you find the exam very, very manageable. When you're not ready, I saw a lot of people scrambling, trying to finish their exams at the last minute, and many people couldn't finish the exams. In this exam, if you are writing the exam into English or French, you are expected to follow the Canadian style. However, they changed that slightly, and the Language Portal of Canada offers some writing tips plus website, and you should go there. Here are the links in the French and English. You should go and review the tips there to learn more about the Canadian style, and you need to make sure and be consistent when you write in English or French with the requirements indicated on these websites. The texts are between 175 and 200 words. So in general, say 200 words, and in technical or administrative, you will have another 200 words. In total, you will be translating 400 words within 3 hours. So you first start translating the compulsory text, and then choose one of the optional texts and make sure that you finish in 3 hours. What I recommend to candidates is that you aim at finishing each text in 1 hour and spare 30 minutes, at least 30 minutes to review. In my professional life, I learned how to review, and the need for reviewing any assignment. As a translator, a translation never ends. A translation is never complete. Even though we provide completed translations, there is always room to improve it. I look at my translations several years ago, I hate myself. I simply say, why did I translate it that way? I could have, said it this way, and it would have been much nicer. This is the nature of our profession. That doesn't necessarily mean that I made mistakes. Mistakes are unforgivable. However, the way we translate may change, and our opinion, our way of doing things might change over the years. So in that sense, a translation will never be completed. However, you have 3 hours to provide such a product that will be accepted, that will be error-free, and that will allow you to achieve a passing mark. That's why this is a challenging process. What do you do to do well in this challenging process? You prepare well. Whether it is physical preparation for this exam, or your preparation over the years, your dedication to this profession over the years, and doing lots of work. Again, if you are, if you haven't done anywhere between 400 to 500,000 words in the last 2 or 3 years, I would say wait until you gain that kind of experience before you take this exam. Here I have 3 texts in 3 categories. I am happy to share these with you. They were used in 2011. These are English texts. You can find texts in similar lines in other languages. If you are a language professional, as you claim you are, you should be able to find similar texts in your own language. I sometimes get people asking me to provide text in Chinese, in Punjabi, in Spanish, in other languages. They insist, oh, I cannot find. I tell them, you're not ready to take this exam. First of all, I don't have any texts in other languages to share with the public. Secondly, if you say you cannot find text in your language, that means you are not ready for this exam. That is a 100% clear indication that you are not going to pass this exam if you come to me with that kind of excuse. You have to do your homework and find text in your own language. Find even more more difficult, much longer text to practice. You know, Olympic competitors, they break Olympic records during their training most of the time. And guess what? During the actual games, they sometimes don't do as well because of the stress, because of the atmosphere. So when you prepare, you have to do much better. And then when you take the exam, you are ready to take the challenge. Okay, remember to bring your dictionaries. Only print dictionaries and reference books are allowed. So you're taking the exam online, you still rely on print dictionaries. You will not have access to the internet, so you have to rely on your print dictionaries. It's a skill lost to us all. I used to brag about the dirt on the side of my dictionary when I was a student. And sure enough, I passed my exams easily and graduated in 4 years, while some of my schoolmates continued the 5th and the 6th year. That bragging doesn't mean anything anymore because we hardly use print dictionaries in actual life because it's very convenient to use online dictionaries. However, in this exam, because of the online restrictions, we have to rely on print dictionaries. So we need to regain our print dictionary using skills. That's why preparation is important. Doing work, preparatory work before the exam using print dictionaries. You will hate to waste time trying to find a word in a dictionary. I used to put my finger and I would go to the section that I wanted to go, and I would find the word very quickly 30 years ago or 40 years ago. Now it takes me ages to go to that page. So you have 3 hours to translate, looking up a word for 5 minutes is unacceptable and very dangerous. So anyways, print dictionaries, find the right dictionary for your needs. Usually the top best dictionary, a pocket dictionary is not going to work in this case. I always say when you use a pocket dictionary, your translation is going to be a pocket dictionary translation. And there's no way you can pass this exam using that. Just before my certification exam into English, I purchased a dictionary, Webster's Encyclopedic Unaverage Dictionary, at a thrift store. I paid $2.50 for it. It's a huge dictionary. Those who know will know it's very thick, this thick. And it is the best $2.50 that I have ever spent in my life. The best value I paid for. It saved my life. I can't appreciate that dictionary enough. It helped me a lot. So in the past, I used to see people coming to the exam dragging a luggage full of dictionaries. You absolutely don't have time to go through so many dictionaries. You should have one English to other language and another other language into English dictionary, and one English to English dictionary. and if necessary, a thesaurus. I don't even think you need a scientific technical terms dictionary, because when texts are selected, the text selectors are warned about the delicacy of the situation. They are not supposed to use words that will not be available in the dictionaries that I just mentioned. So other than using the computer in the computerized exam or online exam, you're not allowed to use any online resources or electronic items during your exam. Now you should know how your exam is marked. The markers are trained to pay attention to 3 types of mistakes: translation mistakes, comprehension, semantic in another word, failure to render the meaning of the original text. This is one of the main categories in which people make a lot of mistakes. And most of the time, it is the semantic mistake that causes a fail mark. Language mistakes, expression, it is also professionally called syntactical, violation of grammatical and other rules of usage in the target language, including typos and punctuation mistakes. This usually happens in the target language, not in our mother language so often, but more often in the language that is not our mother language. So it's very important that we have a good command of the target language grammar, so that we don't make mistakes in those areas. And then we have stylistic mistakes: clumsiness, inappropriateness, inapt expression. This is again, this happens in the target language more often than the mother tongue. But of course, it does happen in mother tongue as well if you are not competent enough to sit this exam. Here is what we read in the candidate's guide. Translation has to be faithful and idiomatic and requires little or no revision. So this is an exam that you are expected to provide both faithful and idiomatic translations, and it will require little or no revision. So you have to do a perfect job. That's what they're saying. And faithful is true to the meaning of the original, and idiomatic sounds natural to a native speaker. Remember, I said you need to finish translating your each text within 1 hour and spare 30 minutes to review. This is what you need to do. Read through your translation and make sure that it sounds natural to a native speaker, whether it is your mother tongue or the target language. It should sound natural to your ears first before the exam is sent to a marker. I established, these are my establishments over the years, 4 basic rules: no omission, no addition, no choice giving, no embellishment. These rules are true in professional life as well as in the exam experience. You're not going to omit anything. You're not going to add anything. You're not give any choices. You're not going to make the text nicer than it is. Sometimes there are certain words that are expressed in 2 words in a language that is just the opposite in the target language. We're not talking about those. In that case, omission, addition rules don't apply. However, the weather was very nice. The weather was extremely nice. The weather was very much nicer. So you're not going to make the sentence nicer than it is. just because you feel that it sounds better when you translate it. Many people forget to translate titles when they write the exam, so you have to pay attention to that. Why do they forget the titles? Because titles can be ambiguous, and you might not come up with the best translation upfront when you start. Many people delayed until after they completed the text and then go back. But during the exam, it is quite possible that you forget. Don't forget that. That's a big no. No addition, do not add any extra word that is not in the source text. And choice giving is absolutely not acceptable. You need to find the most appropriate word or expression. Never give optional words in brackets. And of course, embellishing. Do not make sentences sound better than they are. Common mistakes in this exam: misunderstanding the source sentence or phrase. This is the most common problem that I have seen over the years. People do. We read hastily. We know the time constraints, and we know that we have to be quick and we have to finish the translation within 3 hours. So we sometimes read too fast. Also, lately, we are used to reading very short sentences, phrases, words, comments in text messages, in emails. That is also a setback. So people read quickly and they misunderstand. We need to be careful about that. Sometimes traditionally people are used to read a sentence and write what they understood from that. It is interpreting, but not translating. We expect you to translate. It can be challenging, yes, but a translator with the right skills should be able to tackle that. You're not expected to read and interpret what you read. That's not translating. Dividing or combining sentences. Sometimes in certain cultures, people, when they find it challenging to translate a 3-clause sentence, for instance, they divide, or sometimes they combine them. That's again unacceptable in a certification exam. You have to show us your skills as to how you will tackle that challenging 3-clause sentence. Literal translation, direct translation, or word for word translation. These are not going to be accepted either. Shade of meaning. This is where your good dictionary will play an important role. Sometimes you look up a word and then you say, oh, it was the first choice in my dictionary. First choice doesn't necessarily mean the right choice. You need to check your dictionary properly and make sure that your choice of translation that you find in the dictionary is the right one. And finally, you won't believe how many people make how many misspelling and punctuation mistakes. And in this exam, they can be crucial. My recommendation for success is you choose the right language combination when you write the exam. Market concerns should not determine your decision. Earning your certification in the language combination you're most competent is important. Get certified in the language combination you are most competent first, and then try the certification in the other combination. Yeah, there is more work from Chinese to English, but if you're not going to be able to pass the exam in that combination, why bother? Why do you waste time and money? And more importantly, maybe you will lose your appetite to become a language professional. get certified in the language combination you are most competent, and with the boost that you have from that success, try the other one, prepare for it. You know, this is not lottery. This is not just, you know, let me try and see. No, either you have these skills or not. Also, I'll give you some tips about this. Translating and interpreting, they are interrelated, but they're two different areas. But they require special skills, nature-given skills. Not everyone can be a translator and an interpreter, but not professionally. You have to have natural skills to do this. You have to be realistic about your skills as well. Just because you know two languages doesn't necessarily mean that you can become a translator and or interpreter. And just because you did some work here and there doesn't necessarily mean that you will be able to pass this exam. This is art. This is not craft. So you have to judiciously review your skills and see if you have the right skills to become a professional translator and or interpreter. These are the languages available in the translation exam. Quite many languages. I don't know if they will be able to find markers all the time in so many languages like Swahili. But these are the this is the list from the CTIC website. And also I have a list for the court, community, and medical interpreting exams. But let's talk about the interpreting exams first. Requirements to sit the CTIC interpreters exams. The associate members and certified members of the CTIC affiliated provincial associations are eligible to register for the written component of the court, community, and medical interpreter examination. So you need to be a member of STIBC, for instance, to be considered for the certification exam. It is strongly recommended that candidates have relevant education and they have at least 2 years prior experience interpreting at Canadian courts, community, and medical institutions. I know as an insider, the court exam is the most challenging one. Medical exam is the second challenging one, and the community exam is the third challenging one. And I assure you and guarantee you that you won't be able to pass the exam without experience within Canada or standardized universal experience that will match the one required here before you take the exam. The court exam, community medical exams comprises 2 categories. So you have a written component and then you have an oral exam. They are offered separately. First, you need to pass the written exam to be eligible to sit the oral exam. Court exams are available in 7 languages: Cantonese, Farsi, Japanese, Korean, Mandarin, Spanish, and Punjabi. There are no exams in other languages, unfortunately. These are the most common languages. Even though I would like to add French, Russian, and several others, unfortunately, they are not available at the moment. And medical exams, they were developed in 2017. And there are 11 languages: Arabic, Cantonese, Farsi, French, Hungarian, Japanese, Korean, Mandarin, Portuguese, Punjabi, and Hungarian, Spanish, sorry. These are the most common languages. I would like to see that the same languages are represented under the court exam. Hopefully, they will develop those exams soon. During these exams, any of the interpreting exams, you're not allowed to use dictionaries, no electronic devices, including smart watches. You are expected to do a good job. The written portion is not as challenging as the certification translation exam. That's why you're not expected to use dictionaries. The exam format, written and oral, we said candidates who pass the written exam will be eligible to sit the oral exam at a later date. Candidates register and pay for each exam separately. Those who previously passed the written exam but failed the oral have a total of 3 consecutive opportunities to pass the oral exam. So you pass the written exam and you didn't do well in the oral, you can do it 3 times, 2 times after the first try. Court written exam structure. Part 1, knowledge of the law and court procedures. Obviously, if you didn't work in or get training in law and court interpretation in Canada, it's difficult to pass this exam. Part 2, translation of terminology into target language, translation of a text into English, and translation of a text into target language. Part 3, interpreter professional practice and ethics. This is the written exam. And the court oral exam, part 1, side translation from English into other language and side translation from other language into English. So 2 exams. Part 2, consecutive interpreting of a court proceeding from English into other language and from other language into English. And finally, simultaneous interpreting of court proceedings from English into other language. So 3 components. The marking scheme in oral exam, you have to achieve 70% in part 1 and 2, and at least 60% in part 3. However, your overall average has to be 70 to pass the exam. So 60 is not a pass mark. 70 plus 60 is going to be under 70. And the pass mark is 70%. So the overall pass mark on the oral exam is 70. So your average has to be 70. So you need to achieve 80, 75, 60, then you can pass. But if you did 70, 70, and 60, it is still a fail. You need to be careful about that. Okay, so community and medical interpreter written and oral exams. Community interpreter written exam has 3 components: interpreter professional practice, 5 multiple choice questions, and 5 ethical scenarios. And finally, translation of a text on a community theme into English without using any dictionaries. Medical exam, first professional conduct and ethics for medical interpreters, translating a list of terminology from English to target language, no dictionaries, and finally translating a medical document from foreign language to English. Once you pass the written exam, the pass mark is 70, you will be eligible for the oral component. And the oral component comprises 2 parts in both community and medical interpreting exams. Side translation from English to foreign language. You will have 2 texts of about 100 words each that you will verbally translating from a paper. And a consecutive interpreting dialogue, approximately 20 minutes that you will be interpreting verbally, and the pass mark is 70. Here are the fees. I'm not going to spend too much time on this slide. You can review it whenever you like. And when I said consider certification exam rather than the on-dossier certification, the fees here should tell you about the difference. So you have to consider that separately. no matter what we do, if we are a language professional, this is a great website to go and improve our English language skills. The language portal of Canada. There is so much to learn on this website, and preparing for the certification exam or admission translation exam or interpreting exam, we will find a wealth of information on this website. And of course, the society is going to provide a lot of assistance and support to prepare you for the admission and certification exams. And here is the link. And finally, if you have further questions, you can always contact me. My email address is languageservicescanada@gmail.com. You can contact me through the KCR or directly if you like. And thank you again for joining us for this presentation. If you have any questions, I will be happy to answer them.
Thank you very much, John. That was a great presentation, very informative and helpful, and I hope everyone else enjoyed it as well. I've quickly put a quiz into the group chat, and I would appreciate if you could take a couple minutes to respond to the 4 questions in there. I will also be putting a satisfaction survey for the workshop that we had today, and it would be greatly appreciated if you would respond to that as well. Love to know if there are any questions.
Yeah, you're most welcome to unmute yourself and speak if you like, or you're welcome to type it in the chat. I think I have done a great job, and people have no questions.
That's definitely how it seems. It was a lot of information.
Yes, it is a lot of information. I understand that, and it will take some time to digest because you have 2 processes. One, joining the society and then getting certified. Joining society, you have to take some exams, you have to follow some procedures. And after joining the society, you have to register for the certification exam, consider the exam in this language combination, in that language combination, whether you should consider taking a practice exam. All of these procedures can be challenging to digest quickly. However, the presentation is available. I'm just going to send you the PDF right after we wrap it up, and then people will have access to that file whenever they want to review it. Again, I encourage everyone to contact us or through KCR or directly for any questions. And of course, they can also contact the society, STIBC, for any questions. I'm sure they will do their best to help everyone.
Absolutely. Any questions, any feedback, please feel free to reach out to either of us or the society. Jean, is your contact information in the slides, or have you provided it somewhere?
Yes, my email address is here on the last slide.
Great, and I will also put my email in the group chat as well. If anyone would like the recording session from today, I will put the link to the website where you can access that information, including the presentation slides, which John has said he will provide after the session as well. And thank you to those of you who completed this survey. That's much appreciated. I'm going to end the quiz now and quickly put in the satisfaction survey. Much appreciated for your help in responding to this. It gives us some feedback for future sessions and what worked and what didn't, what was helpful, things along those lines. We will also be hosting another workshop on Friday at the same time from 10 until about 12:30, a little bit shorter if the presentation doesn't go that long. John, would you like to talk a little bit about that?
Sure. As language professionals, we sometimes work with translation agencies. And when I first came to Canada, my information was limited to what I did in my home country, and it was not a match to what I was exposed to here. So I put together this presentation with my experience. And as a manager at STIBC, as a stakeholder, I work with translation agencies, or as a freelancer, I have worked with translation agencies. To tell you the truth, half of the presentation is about how to work with translation agencies, and the other half is dedicated to avoiding scams. Unfortunately, our profession has been targeted by scammers immensely. You won't believe how many scam emails I still get every week. And we need to be vigilant and careful about those scammers. So the presentation is full of good advice on how to work with translation agencies and how to avoid scams.
That sounds very important information.
Yeah.
Wonderful.
Okay.
Some responses to the satisfaction survey, so I will end that as well. And we will give you your couple moments back. Actually, I think we're giving you about 20 minutes back, so that's fantastic. Thank you again, John, for the incredible workshop. Thank you for providing the slides and your time and this information to all of us. And we look forward to seeing you on Friday morning again. And same to everyone else. Thank you for joining.
Yes, I'll look forward to seeing everyone on Friday.
Wonderful.
Okay.
Great.
Have a nice day and rest of the week until Friday.
Yes, same to everyone
Okay.
else. Thank you, everyone.
Okay.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.